también pudieron comunicarse y conocer a los estudiantes, y por igual ellos se notaron que en la cafetería los niños estaban más enfocados en hacer más bulla, hablar con sus amigos en vez de estar en el teléfono.
We wanted to provide some social emotional data to discuss because anytime you have to develop a new initiative, you want to have data and research to support why you're doing these initiatives. So we added some research data just to share with you that this is an issue that shouldn't be taken lightly. So in 2011, there was a study of 62 adolescents and 75 parents. 95% of those participants reported that they were bullied through media using their cell phones. Again, the excessive limit screen time among adolescents is linked to an increase in anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances. And according to the 2023 U.S. Surgeon General, excessive cell phone uses is directly related to social isolation and mental health concerns. Ms. Castile?
So, la célula de datos en 2011 dijeron que 62 estudiantes y 75 padres reportaron que el 95% de los estudiantes reciben bullying cuando tiene que ver con dispositivos. En el 2023 se notó que al usar dispositivos es que encontramos que algunos tienen problemas mentales y el bullying sigue nuevamente.
I want you to also keep in mind that there are currently about 28 states that are using the phone free policy. Just to name a few, you have New York, you have Florida. And in their research, they've shown an improvement in test scores, an improvement in their school climate. Alabama, Maryland, Oregon. They've also shown academic gains and socialization improvement. So the question is that I'm sure that a lot of parents are asking themselves, how will I communicate with my children? Well, we've already established, as you know, established our messenger through our parent and student square. Students can interact through family messaging tools in our student square. You can contact the school. We will have a training for our students and our staff coming up very soon. And in addition, we will also open up our Q&A to all of our community members and our parents and our teachers and students. So this is just a limited way of communicating. We do have a subcommittee that is on the communication that can answer additional questions.
So, hay 28 estados, incluyendo Nueva York, Florida, que ellos dijeron que al establecer este nuevo de no teléfonos, ellos han visto que han probado el clima dentro de las escuelas, los exámenes, los grados, todo ha sido improbado. Usted quizás se preguntaría, bueno, ¿cómo yo me voy a comunicar con mi hijo, mi hija o la maestra? Simplemente usando como tenemos Parent Square, hay uno para estudiantes también. Y será una forma donde todos por igual, maestros y padres, vamos a poder tener un entrenamiento para saber cómo usar esta plataforma.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. So to implement our new initiative, we need to make sure that we're all moving forward. So what are our next steps? Well, one, we know that this is going to be an adjustment for our staff, parents, and our students. We may have some growing pains, but we need to make sure that we're consistent and we support the initiative. We want to ensure that we have results that are stronger, focused, better learning, and improve our well-being for our student. The bottom line is this work is worth it for our students. Ms. Castile?
So, nos estamos preguntando cómo vamos a seguir hacia adelante. Se esperan diferentes crecimientos La consistencia del apoyo y la asistencia es el trabajo de ambos padres, maestros y estudiantes.
Very good. So this concludes our presentation. We will facilitate some questions now. I think Mr. Chief Hill has been taking some questions that are in the chat, as well as some frequently asked questions that we have already generated, just in case we can address any of your concerns. And we may not, again, be able to answer everything that you may have on your mind. However, we will be have the ability to get back with you. And this may be the first of our town hall meetings because we know school is going to be ending very soon. So we still have a lot of things to do to ensure that we're communicating with our parents. We are implementing our action plan, that we're following our timelines, and we are following the guidelines submitted by the bell to bell policies. So why don't with
Mm,
Dr.
Miss
Philippos, you
Ship,
want to start with the chat or?
Miss
Okay.
Shipman,
Yep, Vishawn and I'll bounce back and forth
yeah,
and
we'll go
Okay.
back and forth. Miss Shipman, question. I know this parent may not have been on the call when you started, but the
Okay.
question is more so, why did the governor start this or initiate this? I know you kind of covered that in the beginning
In the
of the
beginning.
presentation. If you could just cover that once again, and then we'll go.
Absolutely. The bottom
Mhm.
line is that many of our kids were showing an increase in anxiety, distractions, and being cyberbullied or on social media platforms through their phones. And I think that he wanted to have a focus on, well, I know he wanted to have a focus that would distract all of those elements for our students in the classroom. And not just for our students, but for our teachers as well.
yeah, it's kind of like you said, a trend. It's going across the country. I know the entire
Mhm.
country of Australia adopted a policy much like this. But so I'm going to just start with what we did was we had a form that our families were able to, and teachers and anyone who wanted to was able to input their questions ahead of time. So I have a list of those, and then I see we have at least 16 in the chat already. So
Mhm.
starting it off. The main thing parents, I think, are most concerned about is what happens if I need to contact my student, my child, in an emergency.
Okay, so Dr. Rodriguez, would you
Yeah.
address that?
Yeah, so you have the main office, that's what we used to do back in the day, we always call the main office, but we also have Student Square. You can communicate. One of the questions in the chat was, can you communicate on the issued school devices? And yes, they have that app in their devices, so you can communicate with your child with their iPads. But you definitely could call the main office, and the main office will get in contact with the student and then bring them down, and then you could talk to them right away. But also using that Student Square is really, really huge.
And they can talk, the students can talk to the
Yes.
parents too.
Yes,
It works both ways.
and
Yes.
just on that, they can also, the parent, you can also initiate the message yourself through the app, through your Parent Square app. So you don't have to download anything new. You just use that and then go right to your child, and then your child can respond back through their district issued device, which is their iPad.
Oh, good. Key point. So no new app to download.
No new app to
Students are going
download.
to have the Student Square app
Yeah.
automatically downloaded on their district device.
hmm And
That,
Dr. Filipatos, while I'm on that topic, someone
mhm.
also asked about where they can find the app. And you can get the app just in your app store on your smartphone and download it, and you can log right in. And if you need access, and it's recommended that you contact your school's main office directly, and they can get you signed up with your child.
Yes.
Okay. You got me to go, or? I'm going to
Um,
go for a
go
hard
ahead.
question. This is a hard one, but how is this policy going to be enforced fairly? I think a lot of people are concerned about, because there's repeated questions about
Mhm.
policy
Okay.
fairness. Yeah, and
Um,
how they're going to do it.
well, it's part of our student code of conduct. We're making the policy part of our student code of conduct, where all of our students are responsible for following our student code of conduct. We will have some exceptions with kids with students with IEPs, 504s, or any medical emergencies that are documented through the school. So, far as fairness, everyone has to follow the policy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Hill, what you got?
To the committee, will this policy apply during lunch, passing of class periods, and extracurricular activities?
I think Dr. Rodriguez, do you want to answer that one? And then I'll answer
Yes.
that with you.
Oh, it is bell to bell. So they will not have access during their passing time because that's actually where the kids for middle school anyway use the phones the most. They're in the hallways recording, looking down at their phone, not paying attention, bump into somebody. So they will not have their phone during lunchtime. They would not have their phone during passing time. The extracurricular activities after school, yes, because after school for middle school, they'll return back to their homeroom, get their device back, and then they will have it for the extracurricular activities, but not for lunch and not passing time.
In addition, for our after school, if for 21st century, for example, we do have our academic days on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Students will be expected to keep their phones on their person, but they will not be able to use it during instructional time.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Will some students, like athletes or seniors, get special privileges?
No. Uh, it is, again, it is a student code of conduct, and all students are to follow the policy.
Mhm.
Unless otherwise noted in the IEP, right? We do have that
Yes,
one
that's
exception
noted.
of
Or
special
medical
education.
emergency,
Yeah.
right? Yes, I'm sorry. I should have added that as well.
Yeah, there
IEP
is a
504s, yeah.
and some students now, have different monitoring devices on their phone
Mm,
for medical conditions. So of course, any 504 would always, be applicable in that.
Mhm.
right. And I think, Mr. Bloom, can you also address what is described as devices, what that includes?
I'm sure. So anything that is internet connected is what we're talking about here. So, any kind of smart watch, a
Mm.
um, a smart glasses, or any kind of smart device. So if a child has a flip phone, that is fine, actually. That is an acceptable device that they can have, but not on their person. It's going to have to be still put away.
Mhm.
But we're talking about internet capable devices. So, in this day and age, there are a lot of devices out there, wearables, what they're calling them. So those are also banned in this policy.
Mm. All right. We have a question in the chat regarding what is the process for students when they come into school? Are they to give their phone to their teacher? What is how will we handle that piece as the students are coming into school every day? And how are we going to ensure that the phones will be safe?
Okay, that is a very good question.
Mhm.
One of the things I will tell you, we have not finalized that. The
Mm.
committee, we are actually working together for the month of June to put a proposal to our leadership to submit that to them, what we're proposing. It looks like, so we haven't finalized that. However, we have discussed the options that we may be taking. We have
Mhm.
to secure lockers, we have the pouch process. We will have, or there may be an option where the students keep it on their person or they actually keep it in their lockers. So if we choose, we haven't finalized those options yet, but you will be the first, parents will be the first to know
Mhm.
as we're developing our action plan, how that will roll out and what we are going to adopt as our board policy.
Thank you, Ms. Shipman. And Ms. Castillo, could you just
Yeah.
translate that response?
Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
way we
We're
ensure that
moving
we
so
are
fast.
being.
We
Moving so fast.
apologize, dear.
Yeah,
Sorry
Please
about
so
that.
continue
briefly,
on.
I'm going to summarize. Um, Ahorita no tenemos ninguna respuesta de qué vamos a hacer con los teléfonos cuando los estudiantes entren. Eso ahorita ellos están todavía trabajando. Nosotros no queremos que los teléfonos estén en presente. Eso va a ser teléfonos, los watches, los relojes y los lentes que también pueden grabar. No queremos nada de esos. Entonces, eso vamos a trabajar para hacer un plan en donde ellos lo van a poder tener. Si usted se tiene que comunicar con su hijo o su hija, usted puede llamar a la oficina y le puede dar el mensaje o usted puede a través de la computadora de ellos tienen el portal de estudiantes, Student Square, donde usted mismo de Parent Square va a poder comunicarse con su hijo o hija y mandarle ese mensaje.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Sorry about that. We did move kind of quickly.
Yeah,
mhm,
I'm sorry about that too.
I don't, and I know, Vashan, you kind of put it in at the end about the stolen, the what lost or stolen. Did we answer that
mhm.
completely? Like, what happens if this phone is stowed in the locker or a basket or
Okay.
whatever device is
Mhm.
going to be
Of
used
course,
and it's stolen?
well, according to the guidelines that the person with the cell phone is responsible for their own cell phone. Now that's according to the guidelines. However, we will develop a policy concerning um, property and that would be based on how we move forward with what option that we are going to move forward with. For example, if we say that our kids in the middle school or every kid will use their locker at the secondary, then they will be responsible for their own phone because they have it on their person. Or they travel with their phones. However, it has to be off or in off during the school day from the morning to the afternoon. Or if we take the option where we have the storage, then we would make accommodations into the regular school day schedule for homeroom for phones to be taken during homeroom and homeroom at the end of the day for students to go pick up their phones. So it really depends on what options that we move forward with based on the approval from the board.
So, una de
Yeah,
las
and go, good, good. I was going to say good.
So, una de las preguntas fue, ¿qué pasa si el teléfono se pierde o me lo roban? Ahorita estamos trabajando en eso. Pueden ver diferentes opciones. Una sería que el estudiante lo tiene que poner dentro de su locker y guardarlo. Otra sería que el estudiante apague el teléfono y no lo prenda. Y por último sería que recolectarían todos los teléfonos y tendrían que ver un schedule en qué horario pueden ir a dejar los teléfonos a los estudiantes.
I wanted to add too that this is bell to bell for K to 12, right?
Yes.
It's not just secondary. Although we have representation from secondary on the line right now too, we also will be doing this in elementary schools as well across the entire district. And it's important to note that that's kind of what society's looking for, is that shift, right? To thinking about not having phones. And I will say I have the honor to meet with students at what's called the student roundtable. And the elementary students, when I brought this entire conversation to them, the elementary students thought, "Oh, well, no, we already put our phones in a basket. We don't have our phones." So they had a very different understanding of what a cell phone is used for in school than the middle school and secondary students. So it's important to note that that's what we kind of want, to grow up, right? Of the phone, that doesn't have a part in my school day, right? So you want to translate that it's really a full K to 12 initiative.
Sí, eso no sería solamente para las escuelas de high school, sino también sería para de kindergarten hasta el 12 grado. Es importante saber que lo que es la sociedad está buscando este cambio. Nuestra doctora Filiparo, ella se sentó en la mesa con los estudiantes de elementaria y le preguntó que si nosotros implementamos esta nueva regla de no tener los teléfonos y ellos dijeron que, bueno, yo ya lo guardo o yo se lo entrego a la maestra. Para ellos no es que no es nada normal, pero sí queremos dejarles saber que sería para kindergarten hasta el 12 grado.
Sean, you got some good ones in your
I,
chat,
d-
some
I,
really
Uh-oh.
I,
good ones.
yeah, I do. So this question is about students. Are they able to text each other on Parent Square? And the answer to that is no, they cannot text each other on Parent Square. It's set up on purpose that they cannot message each other. They can only message their teachers that they are rostered to, or teachers that may have whole school access, for example, like our social workers and our family liaisons, and our special area teachers. But other than that, they cannot message any friends at all.
So, una de las preguntas es si yo le puedo mandar un mensaje a través del portal de estudiantes a otros estudiantes. La respuesta es no, solamente lo puedes mandar a tus maestros, los directores, la trabajo social o enlace familiar. Son las personas que usted va a poder, que el estudiante va a poder mandar mensaje.
And Miss King, so is there a consequence for having a phone with them that they might take to the bathroom or that they might if they're like holding it on them, what happens if they take the phone to the bathroom instead of handing it in or keeping it in their locker?
Well, we are, as a committee, developing the consequences currently for students who actually don't follow policies and procedures. So there will be a consequence, whether it's the phone will then be retrieved and then turned over to the parent. But there is a series of consequences. Maybe you may be getting some of your privileges revoked, but we really want students to understand that this is something that is law. It's not an option. They have to follow it as they have to follow all the, the rules in school. The goal isn't to pretend that, they can't have phones or phones don't exist. It's really to help students learn when and how to use them appropriately. In the real world, successful adults are expected to focus during meetings and classes and training sessions. So we're really training our children to be competent in the workforce and when they grow up, because you have to learn how to focus, and the phone is a distraction.
So, la pregunta es, ¿me van a regañar o va a haber consecuencias si yo llevo mi teléfono dentro del baño? La respuesta es sí. Ahorita el comité está trabajando en qué es lo que ellos van a poner en orden. Quizás pueda ser que le van a quitar privilegios, quizás le van a quitar el teléfono y el padre lo va a tener que venir a recoger el teléfono. Nosotros queremos ver que, dejarles saber a ustedes que la razón que nosotros hacemos esto no es por nosotros, sino para el bien de los estudiantes, porque así cuando nosotros somos adultos, estamos en reuniones, no podemos estar en el teléfono. Entonces, desde pequeños, enseñarle la importancia de que hay que prestar atención, estudiar y no estar en el teléfono.
And I have a fun one to piggyback on top of that, because one of the pre-submitted questions was, what happens to students who have like phone dependency? Like they really have to feel like they need to have that phone. I know the social workers were really talking about that.
Ms. Greer, do you want to comment on that? Miss Monisha Greer, not Miss. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
The question
So
was,
what about kids with phone dependency?
Right. So for students with phone dependency, excuse me, social workers will work with those identified students who are exhibiting distress through individual or group sessions during WIN for primary level and flex or electives on the secondary level, teaching them coping skills, techniques. We have restorative practice circles that we run that address the underlying anxiety, stressors, and or social pressures that appear to be the need for that constant checking. We also utilize our professional school counselors, school-based clinicians and coordinators. And we also conduct classroom presentations, we plan to do that at the beginning of the school year.
Great answer.
La pregunta fue, ¿qué pasa con esos estudiantes que están adictos o dependen en estar en el teléfono? Las trabajadoras sociales, también con los consejeros de la escuela, van a trabajar con sus estudiantes. Puede ser hacer presentaciones, que es lo que ellos quieren hacer al principio de la escuela escolar. Ellos van a hacer presentaciones dentro de la escuela, en sus clases, para trabajar con ellos. Si ellos notan que hay estudiantes que todavía siguen teniendo eso de ansiedad, yo necesito mi teléfono, ellos van a tratar de ayudar para menorar el estrés en el estudiante y tratar de sacarlo. Vamos a hablar qué es lo que podemos hacer.
Mm. Thank you for that. There's a good question here for the IT team. So, Mr. Bloom and Destiny Simmons, this is for you. The district does not have physical books for majority of the classes and are using ebooks. When those do not suffice, many teachers advise their students to take out their phones to visit YouTube or other sites for learning purposes, as they cannot access certain sites on the iPads. Do we know what accommodations the district is willing to provide so students still get access to learning materials without having to use their cell phones?
Yeah, so they will not be able to use their cell phones. Obviously, that is the governor's law that's put in place. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to work with the teachers to unblock things that are being blocked currently. Or teachers will have to find other reference materials that are previously unblocked. So it may require them to find something that's unblocked or to contact us, within a certain period of time so we can make sure those things are unblocked by our firewalls.
So, la
Thank you.
pregunta es, muchas de las veces los programas como por ejemplo YouTube está bloqueado en las tabletas o diferentes páginas están bloqueadas en las tabletas de los estudiantes y no pueden. A veces los maestros le dicen saquen el teléfono y van a abrir una página. Lo que IT va a hacer es que ellos van a tratar de trabajar con los maestros. El maestro le va a decir, ok, yo necesito tal páginas abiertas y él los va a abrir. Solamente va a ser con permiso para no usar los teléfonos.
You have a long one, Vashan. I don't know if you want to try to
Which
tackle
one is that?
that
Is that
one. And then there's also a question in Spanish, Miss Castillo. I don't know if you want to just check that out from Mr. Vargas. I have a quick one for Ms. Shipman. What happens on a field trip?
Well, again, the students will have their phones on their person. We expect them to be to be in groups with their chaperones. So if something happened, the chaperone would be there with the students. That is considered an extracurricular activity. So they're allowed to have their phones, but we want them to be
Okay.
present in the field experience that we're taking them on the field trip for, or the information and the educational or academic experience. So again, to me, that's instructional time that we would expect our kids to have their phones in their backpack or they can have it in their pockets. But any type of information that's being exchanged, we expect them to be alert and to have their phones in their secured.
La pregunta fue, ¿qué pasa cuando nosotros vamos a viajes? ¿Los estudiantes pueden llevar sus teléfonos sí o no? Y la respuesta es que sí, no le vamos a decir no. Ellos quieren a veces grabar, tomar fotos, pero simplemente ser consciente de lo que ellos van a hacer. And the question from Mr. Vargas is it possible for every homeroom teacher to have a locker and have a key?
Well, I think that's one of the things that we're discussing as an option. We also, our IT department has done a wonderful job of gathering estimates on how much it would cost to have those type of lockers secured in each of the classrooms. So once we make that decision, we'll make it known what option that we're going to be using, either to secure the phones. But we do realize that we will have to purchase some lockers for phones in case a kid comes in late. Maybe a student is leaving early for the day. We may have to secure some of those phones in a locker in the main office.
And
La
they're actually, oh,
respuesta,
go ahead with the translation, yeah.
la
Sorry.
respuesta es que ellos están trabajando con IT para que ellos puedan tener una idea de cuánto el presupuesto, de cuánto van a salir los lockers. Si queremos hacer eso, tener los lockers en cada curso para que las maestras tengan sus llaves, pero por igual vamos a tener que hablar con la oficina para esos estudiantes que se van a ir temprano o los estudiantes que llegan tarde.
I was going to say there are a few questions that were sent in about the cost. What's the cost of this going to be? I will reference the fact that we were awarded $38,000 from the state of New Jersey for the initial purchase of lockers and supports. That doesn't cover the whole district. That was actually to pilot. You also can do this without spending a lot of money too, as I referenced in the elementary schools, and the way they did it is with baskets. So it's more about the buy-in from people and the understanding and the climate and culture and the building than it is about the actual device that's going to be keeping the phones. That's why, the parents on this call, you are who we want to hear from about what you would like to see. What do you think is a good idea for our kids? Where do you think their phones should be during the day, knowing that they can't be with them in their hands? What is your opinion? That's really important to us.
So, lo que nuestra directora Filiparos está diciendo es que nosotros queremos ustedes padres que nos están escuchando, que nos den respuestas, qué es lo que a usted le gustaría hacer. Sí hay dinero, pero hay un costo también. Yo sé que la escuela elementaria lo que ellos usan son unas canastillas donde los niños van a entrar al salón y los niños ponen los teléfonos adentro, pero nosotros queremos que ustedes nos den saber en el chat qué es lo que ustedes piensan para poder trabajar juntos.
And so what about the iPads? Can the students take those home? Destiny.
Her favorite topic.
My absolutely favorite topic. Right now, grades 6 through 12, they take their devices home, but the elementary level, they keep their devices in school. That's something that we've been doing since we've had devices at this time.
And Justin, did you want to elaborate about the difference? You gave a really good differential between district iPads and personal devices and why we don't have
Right.
that whole thing. I actually copied your paragraph, but I'd love for you to share it.
Sure. So, Plainfield Public Schools, we are not a BYOD district, meaning that you cannot bring your personal devices into the schools and connect them to our network. The iPads use Go Guardian, which allows devices to be filtered. It also allows for classroom monitoring. So that is the difference between a personal device versus the iPads. There are more stricter guidelines and applications on those devices than it is a personal device.
La pregunta es que si yo puedo traer mi tableta a la escuela. El distrito de Plainfield no permite que uno traiga sus dispositivos adentro de la escuela ni se conecta a la internet del distrito. Ahorita solamente los grados sexto a 12 grado son los únicos que se llevan sus tabletas de la escuela al hogar, pero los niños de elementaria, ellos no se llevan la tableta.
I also want to mention really quickly that, parents do have the option to not let their children bring cell phones to school as well. I mean, you do have that option as a parent, but it's up to you how you feel and how, you want to handle situations like that. Because we're really trying to train our children really to be focused while they're in school.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and we're really trying to utilize Student Square to make have parents feel comfortable with that connection. We all feel so connected to our children now, and then to think about them not being connected, but the principals, I don't know if you want to kind of weigh in on this, but I know the principals are already using Student Square to in place of announcements, let's say during the day, instead of saying, after school clubs are going to be da, 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 they actually send out the message right in Student Square right now from the principal to the students. So we're hoping to get this kind of messaging to be second nature.
So, a veces uno dirá, oh, pero mi estudiante no va a saber que tiene un club después de la escuela o hay algo que hacer después de la mayoría del tiempo los directores, los principales siempre están haciendo los anuncios antes de que termine la escuela, so eso no debe de un problema. So one of the questions that I see here in Spanish is there any kind of reward system? For example, if the entire classroom does not take their phones out and the phones are put away, can they come out 5 minutes early or can they have extra time during recess?
Great question.
Yeah, I think that we are going to work with the building principals concerning incentives and positive behavior interventions. So, I mean, that's on the table. That could be one of those, used as an incentive. But I think we will work with the building principals to determine what that looks like.
And we're big on positive behavior support, so absolutely.
Right.
So, esa es una buena pregunta que preguntaron, ¿puede motivar a los niños para salir temprano? So, eso todo depende de los principales, los que estamos aquí, nos vamos a reunir con todos para ver qué formas ellos pueden, o qué es con algunas cosas que ellos pueden dar si los niños no usan los teléfonos dentro de la escuela.
Mr. Orlando or Dr. Rodriguez, if you wanted to talk about Student Square in your building, how you might be utilizing it currently at your current level.
I could start if you'd like, Dr. Rodriguez. Actually, I just finished up a Parent Square, Student Square for our AP testing. We have AP testing going on tomorrow. It's for U.S. History 1. And a funny story, we had our test yesterday, and I utilized it as an alert. And let me tell you, they were there before I was. They were there before I was.
That's good. That's good.
And
Yeah.
That's what we want to know.
And so I say to myself, some of them might have used their phones, but I know all of them have their device, have their iPads or their Chromebooks or something like that. I actually forgot that I had sent out that message to them, and I was wondering yesterday morning, why are you guys here so early? They're like, Mr. Lando, you sent us a message. Be here at 7:45, and that's a true story. Just anything is going to happen tomorrow, where they're going to be doing AP testing tomorrow. I sent out that message, and I'm hoping the same thing will happen again for tomorrow's testing. But they do listen. They do, especially when it pertains to them specifically. They do listen. They do read their text. As long as you keep those characters small and you keep that very, very nice and concise, I found very, very good stuff.
It is their preferred mode of
Mr.
communication.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Good job.
So, la pregunta fue cómo uno de los asistentes principales, cómo es que él usa Student Square. Un ejemplo fue que en su escuela ellos tenían un examen el día de ayer y el anterior él mandó un mensaje a través de esa aplicación que los estudiantes siempre usan las tabletas, no los teléfonos. Y él dijo, no se les olvide, tienen que estar temprano presente. Y algo chistoso que ayer él llegó temprano y ya los estudiantes estaban ahí antes que él. Y él les preguntó por qué están aquí y ellos le dijeron, usted nos mandó un mensaje a través de esa aplicación Student Square.
You got any more,
Dr.
Mr. Hill?
Rodriguez, did you want to comment at all, or Principal Hill from the elementary level?
Good evening, everyone. Just to co-sign what Dr. Filippato said, the elementary school students are not really pressed to have their phones on their person at all. Usually, we only see students in grades 3, 4, and 5 who have access to cell phones. Students in grades K, 1, and 2, it's not an issue. They all have lockers in their classrooms or in the hallways. So if it becomes a situation where once the decisions are ultimately made about locations and storage, they do have lockers that their phones could be placed in securely.
Great.
So, la pregunta fue qué van a pasar con los teléfonos, digamos, en la escuela elementaria. En verdad, los niños de grados kinder, primero y segundo no tienen teléfonos, serían los niños de tercer, cuarto y quinto grado, pero no habrá ninguna excusa porque en la escuela, dentro de los salones o en el pasillo, hay lockers donde los niños pueden poner esos teléfonos y no va a haber ningún problema.
I have a question about for the principals. It says, are teachers going to get additional support or staff to enforce this. So that might be from a teacher, but it's really for our administrators. Stumped you, huh?
Was that, I'm sorry, was that an answer directed towards like
Well,
a principal or?
so how do and you know the teachers we all wonder how is this going to take away from teaching time? How are teachers going to enforce this? Like how what's the supports that they're going to receive? And this particular question asks, will there be additional staff to support this? Which that answer is no. But I'm sure that our principals have plans to kind of, you know, support, throughout their schools.
From the secondary level perspective, I could definitely speak on this one. So it's actually going to be very similar, in my opinion, to what is actually going on right now this year. We have 40 teachers, let's say 45 teachers, and the majority of them have excellent classroom management. They see a cell phone, they take a cell phone, or they say, if I see it, it's mine. Or they say, put it in the cubby, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be about it, and it stays there permanently. And there's never any issues statistically speaking, there are no issues in these classrooms. In terms of, let's say, a different personality or a different teacher that might not have that classroom management, that, in my opinion, is when an administrator steps up. And if there is an issue like that, that is when administrative intervention is definitely necessary and warranted, because we're trying to promote equality here. So we can't say, well, Mr. John Smith's class, they don't get to use their phones. And then Mr. Jack Smith's class, he isn't really paying attention. And so they kind of get to use their phones. It's a law now. It's a law. It's a law in this room, but it's not a law in that room. So I can tell you from our perspective, we're talking about a small percentage of our building. Our building is a very small percentage. Those are the ones where I myself need to step into that room and say, hey, look, this is no longer a conversation. I need that cell phone or consequences will be given. And I mean that in the most humble way, of course.
So, la pregunta es, ¿se le va a brindar apoyo a los maestros para hacer cumplir esto? Sí, con toda la escuela, los directores que trabajan ahí, los maestros. Si los maestros tienen manejo de salón de clase, es posiblemente que no necesiten la ayuda de un director a decirle, mire, sacó el teléfono, guárdelo en la mochila, guárdelo en el locker, no lo quiero ver. Si hay un maestro que quizás es más difícil, que el estudiante lo escucha a él o a ella, entonces es donde los directores, los principales se van a meter y van a tratar de ayudar en resolver esos problemas.
And I just want to say we have in our final 5 minutes. I think we've covered most of the questions. I have all of my pre-questions answered, and I know Mr. Hill's scanning through here. I want to make sure to everyone on this call knows that the question form or app stays open. This is an ongoing conversation. If you hear somebody's doing something in another town that's amazing and you want to put it in the form to us, let us know. If you think about something, in the middle of the night and think, oh my God, what are they going to do about this? Let us know. Any parent on this call that would like to join this committee, we welcome you. We need you. That was one of the other reasons that we wanted to, kind of reach out with this town hall, which at some points we've had over 90 people on. So I'm super excited about that. But moving forward, this is not a closed conversation. This is just the beginning. So
Queremos darle las gracias a todos ustedes que estuvieron presentes. Esta conversación no ha terminado. Este es el principio de las más conversaciones que vamos a tener sobre eso de los teléfonos dentro de las escuelas. Si usted tiene alguna pregunta, la página donde usted puede poner sus preguntas va a seguir abierta. Si es que en la noche usted tengo esta pregunta, usted lo puede escribir y nosotros vamos a discutir esa pregunta, tenerla en presente para el próximo reunión. Y si usted gustaría ser parte del comité como todos nosotros, también usted puede ser parte de eso.
You got anything left for us, Mr. Hill?
Just a question about substitutes and how we will utilize work with our substitutes in our classrooms. How will we work with them with the cell phone policy?
Great question. Has the committee even thought about that?
Yeah, we have.
You have.
We've
Okay.
thought about that. I don't know if we
Okay.
come up with a concrete answer to that, other than maybe when we have their orientation for our subs, that we cover that information and the process of what our expectations are. So we will have to have some more dialogue about that. Yes.
I
As I
just,
said before,
sorry.
I'm not
I just
sure.
want to just jump into, I'm so sorry. So
Right.
also
Oh, we
one
love
other
to hear
thing
from you.
that on the teacher end that we were is the subs are a consideration as far as leaving the phones in the classroom because, if you're leaving the phone with somebody that's unfamiliar, I don't want to say it's going to pose any risks, but at the same time, it's something for us to consider if leaving the phones in the classroom is on the table.
Right. Good point.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Absolutely. Ms. Castillo,
La
I don't mean to.
pregunta fue, ¿qué pasa si un sustituto está dentro de la clase? ¿Puedo dejar mi teléfono con él o con ella? Lo que se van a trabajar es dejarles saber al sustituto cuando ellos tengan su orientación, cuáles son las expectativas de la escuela, las normas de los teléfonos. Sabemos que alguien dijo que quizás los estudiantes no se van a sentir cómodos dejarle el teléfono a alguien que no conozca, pero eso es algo que nosotros vamos a hablar y vamos a regresar con una respuesta.
And
All right.
this committee is applauded. You guys are amazing. You've been, really attacking this. Thank you, Ms. Shipman, for your leadership. You're the one to get it done. And I want to thank everyone on this call, everyone who comes
It
to
is
all of the
awesome.
meetings. Is there any panelists that have, want to say something that they don't feel was expressed? Please share now.
The last
Open
thing that
conversation.
I was gonna say the last thing I want to share, we will be having a public presentation to the board very soon before the end of the school year. So parents, stakeholders, students, teachers, you're also welcome to come out to that presentation and that board meeting. And thank you for
También,
the opportunity this evening.
también nosotros queremos dejarles saber que pronto, antes que el año escolar termine, vamos a presentarle al board nuestro reporte, qué es lo que nosotros queremos hacer y nosotros le pedimos a ustedes, padres, maestros, estudiantes, que ustedes también vengan y nos soporten en ese día.
All right.
All right.
The
I want to thank
conversation
you guys for
continues.
coming
Thank
out.
you.
Yes. Thank you for coming out. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a
Have
good
a good
night.
night,
To
everybody.
all the mothers, happy Mother's Day.
That's
We
right. Happy
appreciate
Feliz
Mother's
you.
Día de las Madres.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
And this
Right.
recording will be available later. I see that last question in the chat.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you, IT, for all the hard work.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Bye, guys.
Committee, good job.
Good job, Denise.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
you.